that culminates with the end of number 2, where John, breaking a very, very cardinal rule, which is you can't conduct business or you can't kill on the continental grounds. John takes his vengeance out well on continental grounds, which turns not only friends and enemies, but the entire world against him. And that's where we find him in number 3. So John Wick is on his own, no services, or what we call excommunicado. He's been excommunicated from his whole world, from both his acquaintances, friends, foes, everybody. Nobody can help him. And at the same time, he's looking for absolution while everyone else is trying to kill him. The bad guys have also put a very heavy bounty on his head, so now even former friends are now looking for the bounty on John's head, and all he wants to do is get out of hot water, as that's where we find him.
5 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Gong! Keanu understands his character more deeply than anyone. I love the world, and I love the character, and I love collaborating back and forth. Also, Keanu creatively is fairly fearless. You know, there's no too much, too little, too soon, too late kind of mentality. It's like, how can we make this as fun as possible for the audience? And as brooding as John Wick may be, the creative process is incredibly fun, open, and I think very embracing of anything that might make someone smile. I mean, if I told you in very, very simple terms, okay, John Wick 3, or John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, assassin takes on the world. I could say it like that, or I could explain, okay, what would you think of a movie where a guy goes and kills north of 150 people over a puppy, rides a horse, fights ninjas, rides a camel, fights samurai on motorcycles, and shoots a lot of people in the head? It sounds a bit odd, but sounds pretty fun. Like, maybe I should go see this. And that's, you know, not everybody would embrace those kind of ideas. And when you have a creative team like we have on John Wick, all those are fair game. It's a level of commitment that is not normal. You'll hear it said a lot, I do my own stunts. No one does their own stunts. Stunts are done by stuntmen. If they weren't done by stuntmen, it wasn't a stunt. Actors do action, and the level of action choreography, we've just tried to equalize so that the action, or the level of action, or the level of choreography we try to do does not exceed the capabilities of the talent that we're using. We choreographed to Keanu's absolute extreme talent level. Like, he's performing at his optimal ability. If he goes beyond that, if we need a rec or something like that, it becomes a stunt. We will use a stunt double. But when you see John Wick doing all the massive fight choreography and the longer takes on the motorcycle and the horse, that's actually Keanu Reeves, because that is his talent ability. We push him to his limits, and he operates or performs at his limit. It was right after Christmas, as we were prepping the show, I got a knock on the office door, and it was Halle Berry. I'm like, hi. And she's like, hi, I'm Halle. I'm like, I know who you are. Come on in. And Halle literally sat down and said, I would very much like to be in John Wick 3. Love your work, want to be in John Wick 3. I was like, that's great. It's January, we don't even have a script. I have no idea what we're doing. Don't even have a script. She's like, yeah, no, that's great, but I think I'd like to be in John Wick 3. We're like, that's great, we'll call you when we get a script. And she's like, no, you don't understand. I'm going to be in John Wick 3, so you might as well just write the part for me. And I'm like, okay, all good, love your work, huge fan. It takes months and months and months, and it's not fun. It's fun for like the first week, and then it's the diet, the physical training. You know, we have this idea we want to do with dogs and firearms. Like, you will not have a life for the next 5 months, and you'll be on screen for 20 minutes. You sure that's the way you want? It's like, yeah, no, I get it. I don't, just shush, I want to be in your movie. And we kind of laughed, said, okay, thank you. And yeah, she was really, really, really serious, and she never backed down. And when we finally called and said, okay, I want you in the movie, we have a script, she's like, great, okay, when do I start? Monday, great. Showed up Monday, and I don't think she ever missed a workout in the 5 months between the tactical firearm stuff, all the martial art training, and all the dog training.
No, there will be no replacing me on the throne. I am the throne!
Yeah, I think it's like one of these. Hopefully, as a as a fan of just action movies, you'd go in and you might love half, hate the other half, or see something that stimulates you to come up with something. We tried to make everything feel a little differently, not just throwing a bunch of stuff all on screen, but we tried to make a lot of different things happen. Hopefully you'll enjoy the storytelling process. I think we're fairly original in how we tell a story and the aesthetic that we give, so hopefully that grabs you. But, you know, at the end of the day, I hope it's fun, and I hope Keanu's performance keeps you.
You did the impossible. You stopped, you got out, you only came back because Helen was taken away from you. The question is, who do you wish to die as? The Baba Yaga, the last thing many ever see? Or as a man who loved and was loved by his wife? The question is, who do you wish to die as, Jonathan?
We always love the idea that, you know, I think the term came up just in various discussions, you know, in regards to the Catholic Church. But the idea being is that there are rules in this world. There are subsets of rules, but the big one is if you break one of the 5 rules, I don't know what the other 4 are right now, but the big one being if you do business in the Continental grounds, everything is cut off from you. And I think we always love that idea of a stranger in a strange land with no one to turn to, but more importantly that there are still people out there that because of past relationships you've had will break that rule, will take the chance to help you, and those are the people we root for.
Fire!
You know, it's a couple of things. One, you get a couple of answers, which is important, and 2, you get a couple of questions, which keeps it going. And it brings out the best that Chad has to offer, and the physicality that Keanu brings to it. I mean, he sacrifices his body to pull off some of these stunts, and they're really not stunts because it's him. I think it's a gleeful expanse of the world, and it takes a twist and turn that you don't quite expect, but come the end credits, you really do want to come back for more, because you know full well that so does Keanu.
Action.
I think we wanted to have the most fun on this movie, you know, and I think we told ourselves that over and over again, that the stakes will always be intense and there'll always be tons of people being killed and all that stuff, but we wanted to have fun. We wanted it to be as popcorn as possible, and I think that's manifested itself in a lot of little ways, not just in terms of the humor, but also just from some of the absurdity of the action. Like, we want the audience to know, like, we get the joke. This is really absurd and crazy, and we get it, and we're fine with it. Watching the scenes come together, you get a sense of Keanu's vulnerability without it feeling like forced or weak or contrived. You just inherently like him. You know, you inherently feel for him. I think that there is a subtlety in his humor, which makes it really, he kind of is in on the joke of the films, but he takes the film seriously. And that's a fine line. You know, he's never winking at the audience, but but you could just get a sense that Keanu the man and John Wick the character, deep down they know this is we're having fun here.
Sophia, you can't kill the bearer of a marker.
I didn't kill you. I just shot you. I should shoot you right now.
What's incredible to me is Chad, after 3 movies, you would think after their first movie when he directed John Wick 1 with Chad and Dave, they would empty out the toolbox of stunts and action because it was their first shot. And if it didn't work, they probably would not get a second shot. But what surprises me about Chad is his continuing desire to push the envelope in terms of action design, the specificity of it. Really, kind of the artwork of it. I mean, really great, beautiful action is a beautiful thing. I mean, the choreography is just where you put the cameras, how you shoot it. It's just it's beautiful. I mean, and it's incredibly hard to pull off, and it boggles the mind that he's still be able to be as inventive as he is.
Do you know what the Bowery is?
Good cut. Good. Excellent. Good.
I think people will like that. I think people will love the action. I think people will think, how can they have topped the first and second movie? I think we've expanded on that. I think they're going to love John's character and his journey and his emotional journey and learning different things about his history and who he was, which we never really addressed in the first two. And I think they'll love how we expanded the world building without going too far, and just giving people little tastes and little hints of other missions and adventures and kind of dark alleys to come. And I think people will just have fun.
Unless you wish to become the same, I suggest you lower your gun.
Keanu is this perfect blend of an actor who, first of all, brings it all. I've never worked with anyone who cares more about working in this franchise, and he gives it all. He trains for months and months and months. He does his own action. He is the most committed person that I've ever worked with. He also has this innate empathetic quality to him, so he's brought a warmth to John Wick. Not every killer on screen can sell that, whereas, you know, women, men, kids, everyone loves Keanu. He just has this great persona and vibe to him that everyone loves.
Is that the dog? He likes you. Oh, me? I'm more of a cat person myself.
Chad is the perfect director for John Wick for many reasons. I mean, because of his background with action and stunts, he was the perfect choice for John Wick 1. You know, how he can look at a room and figure out how to plan it out. You know, he's great with actors. He's really smart with the story. He pushes harder than anyone I've ever worked with. He's an ultimate perfectionist. And through the 3 movies, I think Chad has really become a really savvy director. I mean, I've watched him kind of become the captain of the ship. He is really secure in his opinions and his thoughts, and he is an amazing aesthetic. Whereas not only is John Wick really entertaining and action-packed, it's beautiful, and the storytelling is really important.
If that is why you're here...
You're mistaken. I'm not here for Mr. Wick. I'm aware of the scope of his transgressions. He will be dealt with. I'm here because Mr. Wick broke the rules in this hotel. The blood was spilt on the grounds of the Continental, was it not?
Oh, yes. And as a matter of fact, the body gets colder within these very walls.
Is that so? I'd like to see it.
When we had the opportunity to make 3, we knew we had to be incredible. We had to do bigger, badder, bolder, better action, better casting, everything, better storytelling. And I think that this script alone is far stronger than the past 2 stories. We really, really push, you know, who is the high table, building the world, giving the audiences a little bit more to learn about John Wick the character, seeing where he comes from, taking him on a new adventure.